Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of Yarn and Black. Today I've got a really special friend on, Jenaya. Hey Jenaya, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you could join us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. Just let our viewers introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
So, my name is Jenaya Bartlett, and I'm a proud Wiradjuri woman. I'm currently 17 years old as well, and I'm lucky enough to grow up and live and learn on Bunurong country.
Beautiful. So you're currently the school captain of your school too, aren't you?
Yes, vice school captain.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us the process. How did you get voted in last year for you knew for this year, or was it all done this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. So,
Cool.
around year eight, I was a shocking student, and I hadn't found myself yet. And as no one in like year eight would really have found themselves, but I started getting involved in like cultural groups and stuff like that. And from there, I really stepped up my game. Like, I found like myself being inspired by the other Indigenous students at school. So I was really inspired by them. So I started doing the same things as them. I started going to different meetings and running different events at like school, such as NAIDOC Week and Reconciliation Week, and just running massive events, getting community out to the school and everything. And from there, I kind of really inspired myself. So I started getting involved in like so many more things with school. And then I was making a joke saying, like, oh my God, what if I went for school captain? So I wrote out the application form and I spoke in front of my whole year level, which was so scary as well. And
What did you say? How did you sell yourself?
I was just, I don't know, I was really scared. Like, I'd been in seeing the teacher and I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know what to do. And like, I don't know, so many people would feel like they are being judged up in front of that stage. And yeah, but you just kind of need to find your feet and talk about the things that you really love doing and try and interest people. So I spoke a lot about like mental health and well-being, obviously things that I've achieved and things that I've done for the school as well, and what I will be like as your 2023 vice school captain or school captain. Yeah.
Yep. And then how did they let you know that you won it?
Oh, so I went on a panel with all the principals at my school. I handed in my application form. I presented in front of the whole year level. And then they got everyone who applied to be school captain into one big room. And they just mentioned, okay, here's your 2023 vice school captains. So they presented the school captains and then they presented the vice school captains as well. And oh, my heart dropped. I was like, I was sitting there, I was like so zoned out. I was like looking, I was like, oh my God, like I'm so scared right now, like freaking out. But yeah.
And how did you feel when they called your name?
Oh, I was shocked. Like I was so scared. I was like, did they just call my name? Like it was so weird. But I don't know. I was so grateful for it. Like it's been the best opportunity for me.
Yeah. So what have you achieved this year in that role?
So, oh, that's a good question, actually. um, there's so many like ins and outs of it. So in year 11, I'm in year 12 at the moment. I created an anti-racism policy for EMC. Um, and yeah, so I started off and I sat down with one of the teachers and, we wrote like down like what we think the policy procedures should be and stuff like that. So that has been like such a main focus um, with my school. And also, yeah, we're like currently planning out like a year 12 assembly, like a graduation thing, and just communicating with all the students from my school. Like, it's so amazing. Like, getting to know each person like individually, or not like every single student, but like we're running like a program where all the class captains come together and we run different activities with them, like little training session thing, you know?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So what subjects have you been doing in year 12?
So I'm currently in vocational major. So I'm not a VCE student.
Yeah,
So I'm going unscored, and that means I have 3 weeks left to school.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, scared
pardon,
you're finished? Scared you're nearly finished?
yes, I'm so scared. I'm like, oh. But yeah, so I'm doing literacy and numeracy,
Yeah.
and then I'm also doing personal development and oh god, this is a hard one to pronounce. Like it's a tongue twister, but it's work related skills. I think that's it. There's something else to add in there, but like, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you want to do next year?
So next year, I'm hoping to start to study a diploma in community service or something to do with youth, and hopefully take on a youth engagement role at one of the local gathering places. And yeah, just go out and bond with youth and plan different ideas for the upcoming year and everything.
Yeah, cool. Now, you won the 2022 Youth of the Year award, didn't you?
Yes.
At the what is it? The Southeastern Melbourne.
Southern Metro Region, NAIDOC dinner bowl, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes. Tell us a little bit about that. What did you do to have to win that award?
So I didn't actually know that I was put up for the award. So
At the night.
yeah, like
Okay.
during the day. So the lady who messaged me, she's now my boss. So I'm working for the company who ran it. But she randomly found me on Facebook and she's like, Bub, you've been put up for an award. Like you need to be here and here. I didn't know there was like a full like formal dress code. So I rocked up in jeans and just a treaty top. And I was like, okay, like this is so scary. Like I didn't know anyone there. But yeah, I didn't know I had actually been like put up for the award. So when I got the message saying I've been put up for the award, I was obviously a bit shook. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like the things that I had done to involve in community and everything like that. So obviously everything that I'd done from year 8 to year 11.
Yes.
Yeah, and that just been all combined together and put into one award.
Yeah. Well, I remember the award ceremony because I was there, and I do remember you looking really shocked, a bit like a lamb. What do you call it? A lamb. Looking at the street lights, like stuck in the lights, going, "Oh my god!" When you won it, I do remember that. And
Yeah.
I do remember the treaty T-shirt as well.
Yes. Going up in front of like a couple hundred people who you've never met before is so scary though. But now that I'm like used to it, like I don't freak out as bad, but I still get really nervous.
Yeah. So what do you do at Jabana?
So at Jambana, I'm on work placement. So I'm working Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yep.
And I have studied a certificate 3 in administration. So I'm very good with computers and stuff. So I do a lot of admin work, like paperwork and everything like that, and like memberships for Nema Jambana. And also on the Wednesday, I'm lucky enough to be there for the women's group as well. So I'm obviously in and out of women's group every now and again. And on Fridays, they also do the men's group. So obviously I can't attend the men's group, but still at lunchtime bonding with the men and stuff like that, it's really amazing. But if we're running events or anything like that, sometimes I'll take the day off school to like go and help run these events, like set them up and, just be there for the day.
Yeah. Would you like to become a youth worker and work there, or are you happy to work in any Aboriginal org or gathering place?
I would love to work at Jambana because I already know the community around me. And also with the youth side of things as well, we like all the schools on the Mornington Peninsula all come together, and I know so many of the students. There's 12 schools that all come together, so I feel like I already have a connection with most of those students.
Yeah. Question: do you have any role models yourself?
Yes, I do have a couple role models. So obviously, so many elders out in the community are my role models, but my main role models would be Auntie Deb and Auntie Dawny. So
Yeah.
they are both from Jambana, and they are just truly amazing. Like if I ever am having like any problems or anything, like they are one call away. And they give me so much hype and support about like, say I've been put up for an award or I've achieved something, like they're my biggest hype woman. And yeah, I just come to them for little advice, whether it's out in community or my personal life.
Yeah. Honey,
Yeah.
Honey Dawn is so sweet, isn't
Oh,
she?
I love her. She's my favorite human.
Even her laugh makes me laugh.
Oh, and her stories as well. We'll sit around talking at work for all day if we can, just talking about Auntie Dawny, like just growing up and stuff like that. She has the funniest stories.
Yeah. How what do you see is what makes an elder an elder?
I feel like, oh, I feel like an elder makes an elder. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, what makes
Yeah.
a person an elder to you?
I feel like personally, someone who's there to give you support, and because they've been through so much already, like so much trauma and stuff like that, like whether they're a part of the stolen gen or not. But I feel like it's really important because, they're there to help you, and they're there to tell you their stories. And from there, their stories, you go and tell on to the next generation, like continuous stories and stuff like that as well. And you just learn so much from them as well. And they have to be the best advice givers. Like, I love my elders.
And this year's theme was for our elders.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think of this year's theme? Like, what did you get out of this year's theme?
I honestly love this year's theme. Like, there's nothing more better than celebrating our elders, especially our elders that we are lucky enough to have at Jambana, because they are amazing. But yeah, I feel like it was so important to celebrate them because, there are storytellers. Like, we, us as youth are growing up wanting to be like our elders. So I think it's so important to continue that on. And yeah, who doesn't love our elders?
Um, you mentioned your background was Wiradjuri.
Yes.
Yep. So have your family always lived in Melbourne, or I know you were born here, weren't you?
Yes.
Yep. What about your parents? Were they born here or they come from Wiradjuri?
So my mother grew up on Wiradjuri country. So she grew up in Wagga Wagga, and it's not a small town, but it's not a massive town. In New South Wales, like a few hours past the border, like the Albury border.
Yep.
But yeah, so mum grew up in Wagga Wagga, and she moved down. Oh, don't ask me what age she was when she moved down to Melbourne, but yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a Wiradjuri too.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So my family are from Wellington,
Oh,
near Dubbo. So
so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So we might have a bit of a chat off camera about if we were related or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, People talk a bit about the voice that's coming up in the few months. Have people had those discussions with you, or what have you heard about what people's opinions are about the voice?
Oh, recently, a lot of people are confused about it. Like, people don't know whether to vote yes or no. And a little insight about me is I work for the Victorian Electoral Commission as a democracy ambassador. So I go out to like places like Namar Jambana and Willamaraine and talk to like the elders about voting and making them like trust the system again after the system has stuffed them around for so many years. Yeah, so basically I can only educate people really. I can't tell them whether to vote yes or no. But yeah, I think it's just very confusing for everyone at the moment. Like the media is the worst problem. Like people will say all these different things and people will just believe that stuff, like what they're hearing, when half the time, half the stuff that's been said is like not even true. So it's just very hard and confusing at the moment. But yeah.
I agree. The comments, I probably haven't seen so much racist comments since I don't know, the Adam Goods issue, or
Yeah.
a little bit about, or Jamara Ugle-Hagan earlier in the year. But
Yeah.
see the comments that are quite up there are quite out there and quite full on. And
Yeah.
I know it's been having an impact on people's mental health, actually,
Yeah.
really looking at some of those the horrible comments that are being said.
Yeah. It is a hard time for like mob, but we all just need to stick together and, all decide on one thing together because that's really important. Like, we don't want to be causing problems and stuff like that because of the yes or no vote.
Have you experienced racism yourself, being a young Aboriginal woman?
Yes, I have. Like in my early days at school and everything like that, when I first found out I was Aboriginal and I started attending the events and stuff like that, I had a few kids come up to me and saying some things and like not knowing like the correct pronunciation for some things. Like we've all heard the slangs that like I'm talking about and everything, but that's what kind of inspired me to start this anti-racism policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the racism's getting worse, or do you think it's about the same? Or did your mum ever experience racism that she might have explained to you growing up?
I feel like I don't know, there's always going to be racism. Like it's always just going to be with everyone, really. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just always going to be there because some people are just nasty people in the world. But, as you grow up, you just learn to ignore it and stuff like that. But I personally haven't spoken to mum much about like her journey, like her upbringing and everything like that. But I feel like that would be like a really interesting conversation to have with mum one day and learn a bit about what it was like growing up Aboriginal.
Yeah. Because I always ask young people that question about, what do you know about your parents? Because that's the question that your kids will ask you.
Yeah.
Tell us about grandma's life.
Yeah.
That's like so important to kind of connect to your mum or your dad's story, because
Yeah. And that's also important for me as well because then I can tell my kids my mum's story and then my kids can tell them like their great grandmother's stories and stuff like that. And those stories will be forever going on.
yeah. Hey, how do you define Aboriginality for you? What does being Aboriginal mean to you?
Oh, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like so much more connected. Like I respect like the land and stuff like that so much more. And like I take care of like where my elders have been standing for like 65,000 years. Like it's just little things in life that I've learned to have like more respect for myself and my community around me and stuff like that as well. I
Mm.
feel like that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Do you think that? I was going to ask you a different question. Is there many Aboriginal kids at your school?
Yes, we are actually so lucky. So we have, I think it's 46 Aboriginal students at our school.
Wow, that's a big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not all of them get involved in stuff like that. So obviously, I was saying before how I was just very, like, not a good student. I'm not saying that students there are,
Yeah.
but some of them are just, I think, worried to let like their culture, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think any of the kids, do you think there might be more kids that just haven't identified?
Oh, yeah. But at our school, we try and make every student feel that they are welcome, no matter if they know their mob or they don't know their mob, or, you know, like we don't care where you come from. We just want to, you know, have a friendly chat and get you more involved and stuff like that. Because at my school, we are so lucky for what we have.
If I had a zillion dollars and gave you a magic wand, what would you want to change?
Just change like in the community or within school.
Both, both. What about what would you change at school and what would you change in the community?
Alrighty. That's actually a really good question because at school, I feel like I would want to get more students involved and also get more of the teachers involved as well. Like, obviously, we'll bring up stuff that all the Koorie students at school have been doing and stuff like that. But teachers aren't just like, oh, that's like so amazing. Like, I want to come to one of those. Like, they're just kind of like, oh, that's like really nice. And, but I feel like getting more students and teachers involved, like either Indigenous or non-Indigenous, I feel like that's really important.
Yeah.
And out in the community, I would definitely be to stop all racism and just for everyone to come to like the conclusion that this is Aboriginal land and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land as well.
I think I'll agree with that.
Yes.
How much Aboriginal studies have you done in your schooling?
um I mean, from year 7, 8, 9, 10, really, it was just, I don't know, in humanities, we used to just learn about like Captain James Cook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone really understood yet. So I personally didn't even understand anything until I started getting more involved in like cultural stuff. But then around year 8 and 9, we were learning about like Nambury and I'm trying to think. In My Blood It Runs as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember they were two of our main studies for like year 8 and 9 and maybe even 10 as well. I can't really remember. But now it's like occasional like things like Aboriginal stuff will get brought into like the subject,
Yeah.
really. And I mean, with all my work I do, I try and just add a little bit of, Aboriginal spice into it. Like just because it makes me want to do my work more because I'm learning about something that I am so like in love with and so like passionate about.
Yeah. What would make a good youth worker, do you reckon?
Oh, I can kind of relate this back to what I was saying before, like just knowing everyone around you and building like a real big connection like with the youth outside. Like it's not about like, what they've done and where they've come from or like if they're a good person or a bad person. It's just about like what you have to offer for this like person and like how you can grow with them and like watch them like, succeed in life and stuff like that. So just like building like a real proper connection with them.
In our household, we're very big in youth workers. I'm a youth worker. My son's a youth worker. My brother's a youth worker.
Yeah.
So we need more youth workers. So
Yeah. And especially around like the Mornington Peninsula, I feel like we really struggle with like youth kind of like not many people stand up and stuff like that. And like at the groups that we run, so it's called Kellis, so Career Emerging Leaders in Schools. And that's like where all the schools from across Mornington Peninsula come together. But I feel like some people are just there to try and get out of school and stuff like that. But then there's also other people there who like are really like passionate about their culture and they want to learn more and they want to meet new people and get out in community more.
now, we know Melbourne's got one of the highest transient Aboriginal populations anywhere in Australia. which means
Yeah.
people from all over the country. But there's also a lot of people that don't know who their community actually is either, isn't
Yeah.
what do you think is the percentage of young people in the Mornington Peninsula that identify as either being Aboriginal or First Nations, but don't really know where their community comes from?
I feel like more than 50%.
I was going to agree with you on that. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I don't know, like some like people might not have connections with their like parents and their grandparents and stuff like that to actually hear about where they've come from and their stories and stuff like that. And I'm personally so fortunate for like my parents and my grandparents and stuff like that as well to, you know, tell me those stories and tell me where we came from and stuff like that.
if a Aboriginal person came to you and said, "Look, I want to learn more," where would you suggest they start looking?
I would personally just turn around and have a whole spiel with them, just tell them like everything that I have personally witnessed myself and stuff like that as well. And I would recommend talking to the Kessos, um, because they are so amazing. Like their support is just incredible. Or also even reaching out to some of the local gathering places, like offering, you know, things for youth, things for women's group, men's group, and, you know, like the community lunches, going there and talking to people and seeing like if you guys have some sort of connection and stuff like that.
Because that's something our community does, is that connection stuff. And it's
Yeah.
amazing you don't know who you're related to until you actually have those conversations.
Yeah. And I think like this is one thing that I love about elders. Like when you first get introduced to them, they're like, "Where do you come from?" And you just like, I just say, "I'm from Wiradjuri," and they're like, "Oh, I know this person from Wiradjuri," or "I'm from Wiradjuri myself." Like, you might know this person and this person. Like, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have one older sister.
Yep.
I have a younger sister, and I also have an older brother.
Are they all at school, or no? Obviously, the older ones have finished.
Yeah. So my younger sister is in year 11 at the moment. So we're a year and 11 days apart.
Oh my God. So she's actually about to go into year 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Have you raised the bar for her? Is she going to
He
go
gets
to
so
lead?
angry with me sometimes. Or like she gets really angry with people out in community because they're like, "Oh, you're following in your sister's footsteps." And she goes, "No, we're two complete different people." Like she is very involved with culture as well, but she takes all the sporting opportunities.
Yes.
See, I just take like all the other opportunities that don't involve sport because I cannot play sport to save my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what hobbies do you have?
Oh God. um, I don't know, just really hanging out with my friends on the weekend and stuff like that, and just going out for dinner, shopping, and obviously whenever I'm not doing something on the outside, I'm always with community or doing something in community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, favorite color?
Oh, probably pink. I don't know.
Very Barbie-ish color.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Did you see the Barbie movie?
No, I haven't, but I really want to say, like, I really want to watch it. Like, I'm so like interested in it.
Well, everything's pink in that movie.
Yeah, I know.
Like it. Do you have a favorite TV show?
Um, I don't know. During lockdown, I was really like interested in all like Netflix and watching all the TV shows and stuff like that. But one thing that I'm really like hooked on at the moment is um oh God, what's it called? Oh, The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yes. So that's about like a little teenage romance thing. And yeah, I just love it.
If you had to give it a score out of 10, what would you give it?
10.
Cool.
Although I hated the ending.
Oh, okay.
But I
But no
think season
spoiler
3
alert.
is coming.
Yeah, no spoiler alert though for the viewers.
Yeah.
Um, if I could give you a platform, which you have got right now, what would you want our listeners to walk away with from our conversations from today?
If I'm going to speak from a youth side of the things. I hope I kind of inspired some youth to like, you know, get up and just get involved with your culture and stuff like that. Like, there's so many things that your culture has to offer for you. And I mean, that's the same with like our elders and stuff like that as well. Like, there's so much like our community has to offer. And I mean, our community will like accept you with like open arms. That ended up coming out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What's something that people don't know about you?
Hmm. I don't know. I'm a very open person. I tell everyone everything. um,
Sometimes a little bit unusual for Aboriginal people because sometimes we're not very good at selling ourselves, are we?
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know. I used to be like so like quiet and stuff like that. Like you could never get like a conversation out of me. But like since I started getting involved with community, I started in talking in like for example, I talked in front of my whole school and we have ooh, 1,000 and however many students at our school. And that was really scary. But I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I'm used to doing speeches and stuff like that in front of hundreds of people or like 1,000 people or whatever. So, like, I'm just used to like selling myself a bit.
yeah. Which is going to come in very handy when you're doing youth work, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, to get like to build a connection with youth, I feel like it's important to, tell them a bit about your story and your upbringing as well to like really build a connection.
Um, I know you're talking about doing the diploma of community services or youth work.
Yeah.
Where would you be doing that? Have you looked at any particular institutions or places to do it at?
Yeah. So I went to a Women's Health Day talk like a couple months ago and I was talking to one of the teachers from my school, actually, her cousin,
Okay.
and she was saying that VATCHO.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have handed my letter of interest in with VATCHO and I'm on the waiting list at the moment, but
Cool.
hopefully it's successful soon. And yeah,
And if you weren't successful with that show, where else would you look at?
I feel like I would probably just go through Chisholm or something like that, which I haven't really, I don't know, I haven't really been introduced or anything to any other like places like that show where they just offer traineeships for, Aboriginal people in general, really.
Yeah. You mentioned that you inspire the young people. What's something that you do inspire them with?
I feel like to start off with, like just really making connection with them and just talking about some of your achievements and stuff like that. And showing them like getting up in front of like however many people, like isn't that scary? Like for example, like I'm just going to add on to it, I actually have a mentor meeting with one of the year 8 Indigenous students at our school, and she she went to one of the teachers saying that like she wants to do things in community like I do and stuff like that, and she wants to be more involved in everything. And with this year 12 graduation thing, I'm doing a speech, and the teacher has actually recommended that she sits down next to me and watches like what I'm like before my speeches and stuff like that, and she can kind of like write notes and hopefully from there, build on that a bit.
Well, so in a way, you are a role model for people, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, without actually having the formal qualifications yet, you're
Yeah.
a person that's actually does inspire people and people want to look up to you because of the way that you the way that you speak, the way that you're community driven, the way that you've you've got a plan in your head of where you want to be and where you want to go too.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that like for every single like Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander student, I feel like it's so important to get involved with your culture and know like your culture stories and stuff like that, because like it's honestly it offers you so many like amazing opportunities. And you know, I've had like lived experiences of all these amazing opportunities that I've had, and I wish that upon every single kid.
Just a couple of final questions. Have you ever traveled anywhere?
Yes, I actually have. So I've only traveled to three places, or like by plane. So I'll classify that as like my main travels. Um, so I've been to Darwin. So we took seven students up, or seven Aboriginal students from our school up to Darwin. And we travelled around the Tiwi Islands, Kakadu, Lynchfield, all those places around Darwin. It was so amazing.
So you actually been to the Tiwi Islands themselves?
Yes. And we got to see like behind the scenes kind of, because one of the teachers had really close connections with someone who was in like their department of education there.
Yeah. Did
And
you go to
yeah.
the Tiwi college, or did you actually go to the Tiwi college?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I might have. This was a year ago and I have really bad memory.
So what's the Tiwi for people, for our viewers that may not have been to the Tiwi Islands? I've been to it. It is the most glorious kind of
It is just amazing.
yeah, and so untouched, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just like you hear about your elders telling you these stories about like what it was like before everyone actually came and like, you know, swiped us out the way a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like in the Tiwi Islands, it's exactly like the stories that the elders are actually telling you. Like it's just so amazing to see.
Yeah. So did you go on the fly on the little planes over, or did
So
you?
we actually caught the ferry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
But
yeah, and where else have I traveled to? Adelaide
oh, yeah.
for the WIPSI conference, so World Indigenous Peoples Conference on Education.
Yeah.
So that was like all countries, and we were lucky enough to have it in Adelaide. And I got to go across with my mum.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was for a program that I was in, the Koorie advisory group.
Yep.
And yeah, I was lucky enough to be successful for that. And it was so amazing as well. Like you met so many different people from different countries and you learned about their stories and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in February this year, I got that like one in a lifetime opportunity to go to New Zealand for a cultural exchange.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. So I went over with some of the Wiradjuri girls,
Yep.
and they are just so amazing. And I don't know, I feel like Australia and New Zealand like have such like an amazing connection already. And like I just saw it firsthand, like right in front of my eyes. Like we traveled like all up the North Island, and we went to Waitangi for Waitangi Day, and yeah, it was just so amazing.
Yeah. Because you've been to New Zealand, you saw the Maori population. How does it compare to how Australia treats the Aboriginal people?
Actually, talking about that subject, it actually makes you like so like emotional, because like, you know, we've been fighting for years for a treaty plan and stuff like that. And like you go over to New Zealand and you see them have a treaty plan, and everyone is just so like close together and stuff like that as well. And yeah, you just feel so safe walking around there. Like everyone's friends with everyone, everyone's family, and you know, they're all just so like such loving people.
And look, most of the kids at school can speak Maori as well.
Yeah.
that everything's got dual names, and the Maori culture is so embedded into daily.
Yeah. And it's so like talked about as well. Like, I don't know if that's like the right way to put it or not, but like
Yeah, I
their
think it,
culture is talked about in their everyday lives at school and outside in the community and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, I feel like if you are a non-Indigenous person, that's not something you would ever bring up in a conversation. Yeah.
I know we're running out of time for our podcast tonight, but I've got one final question to ask you,
Yeah.
and it's uh, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
I hopefully see myself in 10 years' time getting my business up and running fully.
Ooh,
Um, yes. And hopefully to expand that, and get like more youth to stand up and, you know, yeah.
we've always got a supporter here if you need me as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Look, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Congratulations on your awards that you've won, but also on the school vice captain. Is that it?
Yes, yes.
Vice captaincy, and good luck with your youth workforce possibly next year.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me as well.
No problem. It's great talking to you. Hey
Yeah,
guys,
you
thank you for
too.
joining us tonight, and say good night to Jenaya. Thanks, Jenaya. Good night.
See ya.